Ladies and gentlemen and raster designers, we're going to do profile picture part 2, making repairs and adding some filters. All right, so one thing we could do to make this thing a little bit better is we could, why can't I see this thing? Okay, so one thing we could do is add a circle to this thing so we can see, because when you put it into Google Classroom, it's going to be a circle. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a layer right there, and I'm going to add an empty layer. So we just add like a clear sheet of plastic, and then what I think I might need my glasses for this. This is hardcore here, so let's try this. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put in a shape. So I'm going to go to the shape tool, and I want to put in a circle, and I want the fill of the circle to be something easy to spot. And so I'm going, and then I'm going to click here. And look, you can see my circle is a little wonky. So if I want the circle to be a perfect circle, I press something. I don't know. There's one of these things that normally should do it. Well, I don't know what the heck was happening. It's shift, and I pressed shift, and it wasn't doing it. So let's try it again. At least I'm going to try it again. All right, so we're going to go to our circle. We're going to click and drag, and it's all wonky, and then I hit shift, and it's going to make a perfect circle. So I want to make a circle that basically shows where this thing's going to go. So something like that is kind of what's going to happen. So I'm going to hit shift again. So just something like this and this to kind of show what it's going to look like. So then I'm going to go to I'm going to click off of it. Okay, so I click off of it. Then I'm going to right click on the layer, and I'm going to go to layer. Oh, here we go. I'm going to go to layer, rasterize the layer. So it's going to go from a shape to just pixels. So it wasn't pixels before, but now it's just pixels. So layer, rasterize is the next thing you have to do. Okay, and then from here, you're going to go to edit and stroke. Edit stroke. Okay, and so what we're going to do here is we're going to choose black. You can click here to choose black, or go here to choose black, and then make it whatever size you want. And I'm going to click apply. Okay, and so now I want to get rid of the red, and so I'm going to go to the magic wand tool, click, and it selects by color. So it selected that, and then I'm going to hit the delete key on the keyboard. And now I'm going to go select, deselect, and it gets rid of those little things. Anyway, so now you can see like, oh, so the only purpose of this is like to see, oh, here's what it's going to look like when it cuts it out to a circle. So what you can do now is move the picture, expand this picture. I kind of like how it is, but you can, so what you could do on this one if you wanted to is you could press Control R and you could move it around or whatever you want to do to get it how you want it. Okay, and you can hit shift and make it bigger or whatever, but I'm going to hit escape and Control Z, enter, Control Z, get it back to where it was. Anyway, all right, so I'm happy. So now I can turn that off, but would you leave that on there because that's worth points. Okay, so we're going to turn that layer off, but it's worth points. All right, let's go back to the spiel here and see what the spiel tells us. Okay, clean up, blur the background. Okay, mask bad parts. All right, so let's go ahead and do all that. Okay, so we're going to go back to Pixlr. All right, so this looks ugly right there. It may or may not show up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch this thing up. All right, so I'm going to go, and by the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to play on the copy layer. So if I mess up, I have this as a backup. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the sucker tool, the picker tool. Okay, and I'm going to pick a color right here. Okay, and then I'm going to go to my, and so you can see it's right there. Then I'm going to go to my brush tool, and I'm just going to brush right on top of there. And you can see it doesn't match perfectly great, right? So you can see that looks crummy. So I tried to touch it up, didn't work great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blur. I'm going to make a a blur on this background. All right, so again, okay, I just hit pause and poked around a little bit, so I have no idea where I left off on the video. Sorry about that. But anyway, we don't like this right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blur that a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the magic wand, and I'm going to, the tolerance is 32. That tells me how much I select. So I click, and it basically got the background and not me. So that's good. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply a filter. So I'm going to go filter, I'm going to go to details, and in here is a blur. I'm going to do a radial blur, so it like spins it around. And then I'm going to choose the amount that I want it to blur. So something like, I think something like that looks interesting. I'm going to hit apply. And basically what that does, it kind of blurred that and made it to where it doesn't, you can't see it very much. Okay, so I have that blur. So I repaired the background. I did a blur on the background. And so I'm going to go select, deselect now. All right, so now the thing I want to do is I want to do this thing. I want to do the cartoonize the picture. Okay, so read through this if you want. So we're going to do adjustments, image adjustment, posterize. Okay, so let's figure out how to do that. So by the way, it's not very good in Pixlr. It's way better in Photoshop. So we're going to go adjustments, posterize. And so this is basically going to make it look a little bit like a cartoon. So we're going to find the level that we like. That's kind of interesting right there at 4. That's not bad. I think the best is right. Probably right there. So it kind of gives it an interesting effect. Okay, we're going to hit apply. So now that you can see why I can turn this off and I can go back to that one. And so if there's anything terrible, we can change it. Anyway, so I think that's probably good for that. And so now let's see let's see what's next on the spiel here. Can't recall. Yeah, use any other filter. So if you want to, any other filter and effect, and any other apps you want to use to do this is fine. Like I said, this is not very good for cartoonizing things. Photoshop's better, but it's a free version, so we do what we can. All right, so you can play around with any of these filters if you want to see if any of those make it better. Just make sure that you have you make some copies here so you can get your changes undone if you need to. All right, let's keep going here. All right, so that's it for part 2. Now we're going to go on to video part 3.